Learning English with English faculties. Today we will understand the short story, Indigo, Satyajit Ray's journey through history.
Today, we're diving deep into Satyajit Ray's incredible short story, Indigo. Now, on the surface, it's this perfectly crafted, super suspenseful ghost story. But if you look just a little closer, it becomes this chilling exploration of how history refuses to stay buried, and how the trauma of something like colonialism can literally possess the present. So let's start with a big question. Can a place actually remember its past? I don't mean in history books, but in the actual soil, in the very walls of an old building. Can a terrible event leave an echo so powerful that it can reach across 100 years and physically take over the present? Just keep that question in your mind as we follow the strange and terrifying journey of our main character, Aniruddha Bose. All right, here's the roadmap for our little trip into the shadows. We're going to follow a journey that goes horribly wrong, leading our hero to find shelter in a place literally haunted by its past. We'll watch a terrifying transformation, witness a ghost's final confession, and then crash right back into reality. And finally, we'll really dig into why this story is just so hard to shake. Okay, let's meet our protagonist, Aniruddha Bose. He's 29, he's got a great job in advertising, and he's living this comfortable, modern life in 1968 Calcutta. He's kind of the picture of post-colonial success, you know? He decides to take a week off and drive his car 200 miles to visit a friend. And the date is April 27th, a date he says he will remember for the rest of his life. And boy, is he right. From the very beginning, this simple road trip just starts to fall apart, piece by piece. First, an unexpected visitor makes him late. Then his neighbor warns him not to go, a warning he just kind of laughs off. Then, boom, the first flat tire. As soon as he gets back on the road, this violent nor'wester storm just descends on him. We're talking terrifying wind and lightning. And just when you think it can't get any worse, a second tire blows out, leaving him completely and utterly stranded. His modern car is useless. So there he is, soaked, lost, in the middle of nowhere. Aniruddha spots a single light. He finds a small cottage and its caretaker, a man named Sukanram, who offers him a place to stay for the night in a nearby dock bungalow, which is basically an old, decaying guest house from the colonial era. And it's right here that the past begins to stir. Aniruddha learns the bungalow used to belong to an English indigo planter, and you can even see the ruins of his factory nearby, standing like a tombstone. This isn't just a building, it's a physical scar left on the land by a really brutal business. So, Aniruddha goes to sleep, actually thinking about how lucky he was to find this place. But then, in the dead of night, he wakes up to a scratching sound. He checks his wrist. His watch is gone. His flashlight, his suitcase, all gone. But that's just the start. The real horror is what has happened to him. This is where the story completely flips. I mean, the completeness of this change is just shocking. He went to bed wearing a simple vest. He's now in an expensive silk shirt. His skin, it's turned pale. When he tries to call out for the caretaker, the voice that comes out isn't his. It has a perfect English accent. He looks in a mirror and sees the reflection of a 19th century Englishman with blonde hair and eyes that have this chilling mix of hardness and suffering. His entire identity has been completely erased and overwritten. Now, this is so important. Aniruddha Bose is still in there. His mind is awake, he's totally aware, and he is terrified. He's a prisoner inside his own body. He can only watch as his arms and legs move on their own, controlled by the spirit of that indigo planter who lived and died in this very bungalow exactly 100 years ago.
And the timing? Yeah, that's no coincidence. The spirit has chosen this exact night for a reason. Aniruddha's hand is forced to pick up an old quill pen and write in a leather-bound diary, April 27th, 1868. This whole position is happening on the 100th anniversary of the planter's death. The past isn't just echoing into the present, it is replaying itself with horrifying precision.
And through this diary entry, the ghost reveals his agony. He confesses his greed, his cruelty. He admits he was too ashamed of what he'd done to ever go back to England. He knows he's going to die on this alien soil with no one to mourn him because of how badly he exploited the local people. You see, the haunting isn't random. It's a desperate act by a guilty soul trying to confess its sins one last time.
And then comes the final tragic act. The planter's hand, Aniruddha's hand, pulls a pistol from a drawer. He walks to the veranda and calls for his faithful dog, Rex. Aniruddha watches in absolute horror as the hand he can't control raises the pistol and shoots the dog.
The planter then goes back to the room, bolts the door, and relives his own suicide, holding the pistol to his head as Aniruddha's mind is forced to witness every single agonizing moment.
And then, he wakes up. It's the sound of knocking. Sukanram is at the door with some tea. Daylight is flooding the room. He looks at his wrist. His watch is back, and the date is April 28, 1968. The room is dilapidated again, the fancy furniture is gone, and the nightmare is over. He's just left alone, wondering if anyone in the world would ever believe what happened on the 100th anniversary of that planter's death.
So that's the terrifying experience of Aniruddha Bose. But the real power of this story, what makes it stick with you, goes so much deeper than just a good haunting. Ray uses the supernatural to explore these really unsettling ideas about history, memory, and justice. This is way more than just a scary story. It's a commentary on the ghosts we all live with.
So the first big theme is this idea of the past and present just blurring together. The story is basically arguing that intense emotions and horrible events don't just disappear. They can leave an imprint on a place, like a psychic residue that can lie dormant for decades, only to burst out when the time is right. In this story, history isn't dead, it's just waiting.
And you absolutely cannot separate this haunting from the brutal legacy of colonialism. The ghost isn't just some random restless spirit. He's a symbol of an entire oppressive system. Indigo farming in India was built on exploiting peasant farmers. So the planter's deep guilt and lonely death, well, it's a kind of karmic justice, right? An inescapable personal consequence for his role in this huge, cruel machine.
And finally, the story just plunges us into this profound identity crisis. It's no accident that the victim is a modern, seemingly westernized Indian man. Aniruddha is literally possessed by the very history his modern life is trying to move on from. He becomes a helpless passenger in his own body, forced to see the world through the eyes of a colonial oppressor. And it asks this terrifying question: who are you when your body, your voice, and your actions are no longer your own? It's a strange, uncomfortable place to be, trapped between the modern victim and the historical tormentor who is just desperate for release. Ultimately, Indigo uses a supernatural event to ask a very real question. It pushes us to think about how the injustices of the past, the unresolved traumas, and the unconfessed guilt of history continue to echo into our present, sometimes in ways we can't even see or control. And it leaves us wondering, what ghosts of the past still walk among us today?